This is a video that's part of my Sarah series that I just started a couple weeks ago. This is video number 2 of content, and I thought I would discuss something that's kind of misunderstood: going to church. The first thing I need to say is, if you don't go to church, I have no judgment. Maybe you were hurt by church people growing up, or maybe you saw a meme about church and think it's a group of judgmental people telling you that you're going to hell like some people on the streets do. Or you've seen too many horror films and you think a stained glass building is haunted. But no matter the reason, I want you to know that you won't be saved spiritually if you go to church, and you won't necessarily go to hell if you don't. I think that deep down nobody wants to go to hell, even if you don't believe in God, but church is still essential, and I'll tell you why. I don't care if you prefer a small church or a large church. I don't care if you have a group of people who meet in a home and study God's Word, or if you are part of a church with 100 service opportunities. All that I think is necessary are 4 things. 1, that the church is biblical and believes in the Holy Trinity. 2, that you need to get involved no matter your church size. 3, you need to be honest about your life. And 4, it's okay to look around for a church that fits. You see, going to church won't save you. Plenty of people go to church but aren't born again or even believe this Jesus thing all the way. But being a part of a church community with my 4 parameters will really give you hope and help with whatever you're struggling with. And as long as you're honoring number 3, which is being honest about your life, even the hardest parts of it, because being open can set you free from feeling the need to look put together. A lot of people, especially people who have gone to church for a while, feel like after a while it's kind of tiring to talk about the things going on. So they put on a face and they put on their Sunday best and they walk in and walk out unchanged and breathe a sigh of relief that they didn't have to spill their guts in front of anybody. But they probably didn't grow much at all. Now, any church that says you need to look as good as you can, even when you're struggling, isn't teaching you the truth. I'm not saying roll out of bed and walk into church and, spill your guts at every chance you get. That might not necessarily be what I'm saying, but don't be afraid to be that way if you need to be, because some people want you to be open even that much. And, of course, I'm talking about the people who are close to you, not necessarily random strangers that you meet on one Sunday. A group of openly broken people worshiping God through music and prayer is so beautiful, at least to me. You should get fed the Bible, God's Word, regularly, every time you meet, and you should be taught how to love people in truth. If one or both of those things is not at your church, it may not be the right church. And if number 1 is being broken, that your church doesn't follow God's Word, or it picks and chooses parts of God's Word, or it just doesn't accept the Holy Trinity of God the Father, Jesus the Son, and the Holy Spirit, then I would question what they're teaching. I don't think any other version of Lord and Savior is correct. That's what I believe, and I don't know if you've heard of anything different, but that's what I believe is true. I want to touch on 2 points I haven't gotten into yet that much. We already know that the church should be biblical and about the Trinity, and that we need to be honest about our lives. But why should we get involved? Well, at least with huge churches, and for me, huge means over 1,000 people, you can get lost emotionally and spiritually, and you can feel anonymous, especially if you're new and nobody knows where you love to serve or what your family's about. Plus, how can you really enjoy a place or group of people if you quietly sit in the back once a week and walk back into the grind of life unchanged? I just don't think that's what church is meant for. I feel like when church started, it was a group of people meeting in homes, sharing meals, talking about everything going on in the world, in their life, and they weren't necessarily holding back. And yes, even introverts should get involved too. You don't have to pray up front or anything, but joining a behind-the-scenes service ministry like production may be a place to start. I know there are some ministries where people are just doing their own thing and they don't interact with a lot of people, and that might recharge you. If you're an extrovert like me, being in front of people regularly might be a place, and most service ministries are that way. Now, if you're wanting to find a church, here's the other point. I would see if you can find a website. If you're wanting to search around for churches, I think that's okay. I don't want you to just pick the first church because you're worried it might be wrong to find a church you like. I mean, you're supposed to enjoy where you go to church, I think. Then look at websites that tend to that have videos of messages, because if they have messages, sermons, then you can see what are being fed to the people. And if you think those messages abide by the 4 points I mentioned, then I would check it out in person. That's the best way to get a feel for the place. Now, I have to say, like I said, it's okay to look around for a church that kind of fits you and your family, but I wouldn't necessarily say you leave the church the second something goes wrong. And what I mean by that is especially if you're part of a large church where you have new people coming every single week, then you might run into someone who says something you don't like, or maybe they're your neighbor and they happen to be there one weekend and you don't necessarily get along with them. I mean, things that may not be consistent, things that don't jeopardize your integrity, isn't necessarily a reason to leave the church. If your pastor's saying things like there isn't a heaven, or the only way to heaven is to do 10 right things a week. I mean, I don't know what other churches preach, but there are some lines that if you don't think they follow the 4 rules, I think is a safe reason to leave the church. Those 4 reasons I gave you are things that I think are hard and fast. If it's missing any of those, then you might run into issues you don't want to encounter. But anyway, back to the other thing. Finding a church is important, even though it doesn't give you a passport to heaven. Anyone who told you that Christianity was a private religion was missing out on the rich relationship you can have with actual people through God's Holy Spirit and with God. And I think that people need to seriously consider what they want their family to be involved in. And I don't want going to church to be, I want it to be a regular thing. I want it to be, in a sense, a routine, but I don't want it to be something where you come back home and then don't talk about it, don't think about it, don't do anything church-related that whole week. I'm not saying go to church 5 days a week, but talk to your kids or your spouse about things you learned and try to practice things that are taught to you. Try to do things you do in church at home, like reading the Bible and even taking communion, things that can keep it going the whole week. And then reach out to people who are at your church throughout the week, because that's where you start to grow. Like I said, you aren't saved by going to church, but I think that you're missing out on a lot of growth and a lot of healing if you aren't around people who go to church. I'm also not saying don't have any friends who don't go to church. You can have friends who don't believe in God, or maybe they go to a different church, or they don't go to church at all. But I would probably keep the people who are closest to you, people you are with every week, who are at your church, because most likely if you're there, you have the same values. It's like in a marriage. My husband and I have the same values. I can't think of a value that we disagree with, really, but almost everything else is different. The types of food we like, the way we like our food prepared, the way we solve problems, and other things. Everything else is different. So you don't have to be just like everyone in your church, like robots, but you just have to really believe in what they believe. And if they follow those 4 things, I really think that will guarantee that happens. If you want clarification, or have a question, or have a video request, please comment below or message me privately, and I look forward to the next Sarah Dime video.